welcome back to a special edition of Sit Down with SAPOA. I'm your host, Johnny Perez, the current Vice President of the San Antonio Police Officers Association. Today I want to congratulate our SAPOA President, Danny Diaz, who you all know is retiring at the end of May. It's kind of bittersweet. We're happy for everything that he's done with us, and we want to take a little bit of a look back on his career and what he's done with SAPOA. Before we do that, though, like I said, it is bittersweet. Not a lot of people know this, but Danny's families and I go back a long way. We had, before we knew each other, they knew each other. I played baseball for Danny's dad at the Spanish American League down by the Charros on South Padre Drive. A place called Mike's Tavern. I was in high school and teenage boy in the summertime out there trying to get some experience to play baseball with his dad, Lupe, who was also a police officer and served with San Antonio Police Department. Again, my uncle was a deputy, was good friends with Danny's dad. Him and Hector Ayala, all three of those guys were good friends. They hung out together. Not a lot of people know about that history. And again, I didn't know Danny until I got onto the department. So, Danny, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm happy to be here. Like I said, it's bittersweet. Hate to see you go, but you've done a great job with SAPOA. You've done a great job in your career, been through a whole lot of stuff, and we want to talk about it a little bit today. So first things first, why don't you tell us what inspired you to be a police officer in the first place?
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me. It was on a dare. I saw that the things my dad went through growing up, being involved in multiple shootings and things of that sort. And I didn't want to live that. I went off to college playing ball, and when I came back, I just happened to be working at the Baptist Hospital. A couple of my buddies that were working with me said, "Hey, police department's hiring. Let's go take the test." And I said, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that." And they're like, "Oh, you're scared." And I was like, "Mama didn't raise any scared cats, right?" So, out of the three of us, two of us made it and one didn't. One of them became a helicopter pilot for SAPD, which is Dusty Britton, longtime pilot. To this day, remain good friends. And even with the other individual that didn't make it, we've remained good friends. And then, once I got in, I loved it. I always had a knack of running into stuff by accident,
Right.
Drugs, guns, all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was a great learning experience. I had a lot of great mentors that saw my work ethic. I never held calls. I wanted to make sure that I took care of my square, made sure that my coworkers had cover when they needed it, and I was taught very well by a bunch of people. Val Lopez. There's to name one. When it came to narcotics and stuff like that. So it was different. It was a good time. Good.
34 years, right? 34 years is what you're going to end up with on the department?
34 and 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's a long career. That's not that's something that when you came on the department, when I came on, that was a goal, right? To get to 30 and beyond, and
sure.
and hopefully be able to get back and down to 30, drop back and things like that to have a good pension and have a good retirement. I don't know if a lot of officers do that anymore or have that plan, but 30 years is a long time. A lot of things can happen. So in your 30 years, Danny, tell me, what units did you work? I know you started out on South Patrol. From there, I think the old gang unit. Why don't you explain how it started out and where you went with your career?
Sure. So breaking out, I was sent to North Patrol for 6 months. That was very difficult for me because I didn't know the area.
Yeah.
And back then there was no GPS, so you had that MapQuest book. You got to find it.
Yeah.
But shortly thereafter, I got sent to South, and the one thing that I realized very quickly was, at North, I had one call that was a murder. It was a shooting, and both sections showed up to work it. Mm-hmm. And my first day, I went to South, and there was a shooting, and it was just me and one other officer.
Yeah.
And silly me, being the rookie that I was, I asked the senior officer, I said, "Hey, where's everybody else?" And they're like, "We're it. We're not getting any help." So you learn very quickly how different parts of the city are different, and staffing's always been an issue with the city, the way that it's grown. The city's mentality of doing more with less to this day is, is still there. From South, I got approached by, at the time, Deputy Chief Rudy Gonzalez, that he had a traffic safety program, bilingual traffic safety program, that he wanted me to try out for. And I did, and I wound up getting the position, and I did that for 3 years, and it taught me a couple things. One, it dealt with grants, so it was the city, county, state, and federal grant money that was coming in at the time. And then as that dwindled away, I wound up leaving that, and had an old sergeant, George Lockamy, that I ran into, tells me, "Hey son, you ready to come back to work? Because you're wasting away over there." So I told him yes, and I wound up going to, back then, what was called a SCAT unit, the Street Crimes Arrest Team. Did that for a couple years. While I was there, there were quite a few officers on the SCAT team that were SWAT alternates. So they handled the perimeter while the SWAT team actually handled the incident. I tried out for that, I made it, and then from there it just kind of snowballed. Was involved in a shooting in '99. That kind of led me to the team in 2001. Tried out there when they were disbanding SCAT. And I love that maybe too much because I spent 22 years there. And there's several people that I have to thank, mentors that were there that helped me through in the learning process. Breaching, Mondo Ramirez, Phil Corey. There's Junior Thomas, the older regime that was there, and you could see the change and how things were going. And then the teammates that I had, throughout my entire career, I'll tell you that the camaraderie that's there, I'll never see that again. And no offense to anyone else, because I do work well with a ton of people, but it's different when you're getting shot at, and those guys next to you are helping you. And I've had several, I remember Leo Gonzalez pulling me as I was breaching the door, pulling me off a porch because the guy's shooting down at us, and by the grace of God, bullets missed both of us that day. And so, you look at that and you look back and you realize the what you miss, and that, and then. I've always been involved, thanks to Choco Ayala that you mentioned earlier, Chris Anderson, Teddy Stewart, guys that I played ball with that knew that I had an interest in government, and they got me involved in PAC. So I've been involved in PAC since I started my career. And then there towards the end, they weren't allowing us to execute warrants any longer. And I saw the transition of my predecessors. That board, they were starting to leave. They were all older and tenured, and they were starting to leave. And I decided, hey, and I told my wife, one of two things is going to happen. I said, I'm either going to get hurt again, get shot again, or I'm going to wind up getting in trouble because the way, the mentality that the department had compared to what I grew up with. So I decided to run for president, and it worked out. First couple months, though, I wasn't sure if it was the right choice or the wrong choice. You come in and you have 3 months to defeat a proposition that, we didn't have the money to combat it. And two, the unsurety, if that's a word, of not knowing how the community was going to act. There was and I saw a disconnect between police and the community. And I knew that was one of the things, once we got past Prop B, that was one of the things that we needed to address. So, last 5.5 years, there's been a lot of good, a lot of fights. I know that our members and people outside of the department have short-term memories, but when you look at our victories, we're the only union to defeat two propositions that wanted to take away collective bargaining, civil service, contract 8 months time, which is unheard of. On the last one, ballistic windshields, not giving statements same night as when you're involved in a shooting and waiting 48 hours, that the rest of the country, including the FBI, was doing. getting donors from Valero, which the association already had, but Quick Trip convenience stores, giving us $122,000 for members, and as far as making sure that morale was good with them, and helping pay for the picnic and food and substation food and fiesta and all that. Our other friends, you have Jamie Shaw that's been long-standing with us for at least 5.5 years.
Right.
Currently, we have Thomas J. Henry that's helping us out,
Yeah.
and others that were there throughout. You can't thank them enough. They're not mentioned enough. Well, with the exception of Thomas J. He's done all his commercials, right? But as far as their love and support for the membership and for law enforcement, I think it's not mentioned enough, right. and I'd like to thank them. I'm sure I'm missing someone. If you're not mentioned, please don't be upset. There's a lot over that time frame.
Well, Danny, I tell you what, 20 years on the SWAT team, an elite team, right? We're probably the best team in the state, maybe even in the country. Go out and compete abroad, and always have come back, being in the top tier of all SWAT teams. So I know those are things that you can be proud of, that the team can be proud of, and a lot of stressful situations for you in those years. Was it more stressful being a SWAT team member or SAPOA president?
Man, I'll tell you in a heartbeat, I'd much rather be at a critical incident than have to deal with some of the stuff we deal with as, in this presidency. And I say that because you're even though at a critical incident, you're dealing with, all types of people. Right? There's suicides, there's, from the family violence to the active wanted people for murders and drugs and all of that. But in that, we live in a world of what ifs, and being a negotiator and from time to time being out there for 20 some odd hours. Sometimes we joke around and at the scene, but it's different when you can apply what you've been trained and okay, this and this can happen. Right. On this end of the spectrum, though, you can try and be prepared for it, but when you're dealing with not only the community, but you're dealing with politicians, you're dealing with activists, and you're dealing with the business community, the biggest problem that is there is everyone has an opinion or a thought process of how things should work, but they don't know how this actually does. So it's just different.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. And all those years, we don't do it as much. I know you mentioned playing softball and things like that. There was a time when we crossed paths playing softball, traveling, had teams that traveled across the state, did a lot of tournaments. That was a lot of fun. That's probably a whole other podcast that we can do on the things that we did back then. But staying on topic here, what do you hope for the future of SAPOA? What is your hope after you've served these 5 years? Over 5 years, what do you hope for the future of SAPOA, and what impact do you hope you made on the members or on the community as a whole?
One thing that I've preached to the membership that people make fun of me sometimes when I say it, but it's a true statement. It's my belief that it's a true statement that there is no cavalry coming. Right. If we don't take care of each other, there's no one coming to help. And I say that because you get hit by the media, you get hit by the activists, and again it's because they don't know the job. Right? They have an opinion. This isn't TV; it's different when it's real life. And so what I see and what I see in you in the next leadership is continue to move forward. We've come a long way from where we were. Our political clout right now is stronger than ever. And I say that because of this. It might not be about the individuals, but individuals look and see and they research, and all they got to do is look and see how much money we have, and that scares them more than anything else. Right. And I say that because we've done it right, to make sure that money is there to do what we need to do. But I see this association, this organization, just continuing to climb, and with the people that have been put in place, God bless the committee members that we have chosen up to this point. They have done a tremendous job. Like-minded, same goal, and that will stay, in my opinion, that's going to stay going, right? At least for the next couple of years. And so as long as that's done, I see this organization being strong. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely you've been a good leader. I think a lot of people have a misconception of leadership as someone that's always out there, pounding the desk and saying, this is what we want, this is what we want. But that's not always true, right? And of course there's ebbs and flows. There's times in our careers where maybe they're at a time that's what we needed. But in these current times we don't need anything like that. I think the way you've led us, the way you've led the organization, getting out into you were out in the community. That was the big thing, did media things. You were out to be seen, but it was for a good purpose, for letting the community know that we're part of the community, right? I mean, that's one of the big things I know that you've preached, is that we don't forget where we came from. We grew up in sides of town that a lot of the community grows up in.
Sure.
We went through a lot of the things that a lot of the community goes through now as we're growing up. And so that's something that I'd like to carry on, right? I want to continue to carry that on, and just to make sure that everybody out there knows that we are part of this community. Whether you're from the north side, the east side, south side, downtown, west side, like we were, we're part of this community, and we just want the community to know that we're here for them. We know what they're going through, and we want to do everything we can to help, right? Sure. And so I think that's been a big factor, something that you've been able to preach to us, and I'm right along with you with that. And I think you knew that when I came in and I ran for vice president. We were on the same page, right? But of course now there's a transition, right? You've announced your retirement. And deservedly so, 34 years. I'm sure there's people out there that think that you're being selfish or you're leaving us behind, right? But one thing I'll say to anyone, whether it's our members or anybody, there comes a time in your life when you realize, hey, I've done everything that I needed to do, that I wanted to accomplish. It's time to pass it on over, and it's time for me to enjoy my life, my family, because in this job we don't get to enjoy our families like a lot of the community, a lot of other jobs get to enjoy their families. Like you said, 20-hour critical incidents where we've spent literally days and away from our families, just doing rotations, having to take naps in between, on being rotating out, but not seeing our families. I know you were already president when it happened, but the riots downtown you were still around.
No.
You were still.
Yeah.
And the riots downtown where our families are at home waiting for us and wondering, knowing that I, the SWAT team negotiators, some of our street crimes guys, safe officers, were right in the middle, right in the thick of everything, right?
Yeah.
And not and I know just from personal experience, my wife, my kids they couldn't hear from me. I didn't have time to let them know, hey, I'm good, I'm okay. Sure. And so those are some of the things. So the retirement's not just for you, it's for the family, right? And I think that's a big transition that we have to go through, not only us as a membership and us and me and SAPOA, but you into, I guess, regular life, right? Because regular life is different than police life, right? All these years. So, look, I'm sure there's been some negativity, like I said. You're leaving in the middle of contract negotiations. People don't understand that you have put people in place with the way you lead, your leadership, the things you've done. You have everything set, ready to go, or else you wouldn't leave, right? Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so what people don't realize is let me touch base a little bit on going back as far as the me time, right? It's exhausting. This position is exhausting for not only the president, but it's exhausting for your family.
Right.
And during those riots, my group was the first one that went in, set up in front of the Alamo, and there's things that we went through then, and those were long hours and the heat and the gas and all that. And then I kind of think that's the only reason why my wife agreed to, say, hey, okay, yeah, so I wouldn't be in that environment.
Yeah.
But it didn't take long for her to change her mind with that, right? With people yelling at me over I was sitting, I remember vividly that I was sitting in the dining room and there was an organization that was just hammering me by Zoom, and I could see her just out of the corner of my eye. She's getting upset and wound up going into the bedroom so she wouldn't hear it anymore. But it takes a toll,
Right.
and what people don't realize is, if you think back from the last contract that we had, the individuals that were put in place, Chris Lutton, Jason Sanchez, Rachel Barnes,
Right.
those are the ones that are running it.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Right.
It's not you.
Right.
It's the people that we have in place that are Rachel's an attorney. Jason is a math whiz. I mean, just hitting it, and Lutton knows the contract like the back of his hand,
Yeah.
and our rules and regulations and everything else that goes with it. What better people do you have in place other than them to actually do it?
Yeah.
They're doing it now and have been doing it. If you look at, or if people say, well, he's not even there. Well, there's a reason why Eric Walsh isn't there either.
Right. Yeah.
You set a committee in place to hammer those things out, come to an agreement, and the spokesperson. Here you go. Do I know what's going on? Absolutely, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
In constant contact with those three individuals. Hence the reason why they're there now. And we added a stronger committee to them with Cynthia Lindley, Ryan Reynolds, and several others that are on that committee now. It's a strong committee, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
right?
they do. Yeah.
Right. Ryan's another numbers person, and so to say that I'm leaving at a bad time because of bargaining. Look, paper can say what they want to say, but what they don't know is the inner workings of this organization.
Right. Yep.
We are nothing but rock solid, and the main focus is what is here, what do we need to do, and what needs to be done for the membership.
Right.
That's it. It's not about individuals.
Yeah.
And so for me, when this time came in going to the pension office to look at my numbers, every law enforcement officer or police officer in this organization knows that there's 2 windows for you to leave when you're going to retire, and to be able to take out the most money, pension wise. For me, it was May or October, and when I looked at the October numbers versus May numbers, and really, this isn't anybody's business because it's my personal stuff, but it didn't make sense to stay for another $30-40.
Right.
And so. What made sense to me was for me to get out of the way, so that this organization could continue running as strong as it has been. And that's it. It was time for me. It's time for my wife, so that she can relax and not have to worry about phone calls in the middle of the night and constant, because that never stopped. We're 20 some odd years into it.
Yeah.
25 years into it now. Where it's a constant,
Right.
And she's been with me to the hospitals for the suicides, for officers being shot, and so she sees it too, and it's a strain on not only you but your better half, and it's time for us to relax a little bit.
Yeah, definitely something that you both have earned. Definitely, both have earned. Is there something you want to say to the membership, to the community, kind of a last words type of thing? Maybe something you want to let them know. Thank you, or anything you want to say to the people out there.
Man, how much time we have? So I'll first and foremost to the membership. Thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity to represent you. We have been through many wars in 5.5 years. Some of them internal, with people that think they understand how this organization runs or how things should go. Difference of opinions, but I need y'all to understand one thing. From my standpoint, whichever administration it was completely about the membership and not about me as an individual. That should be whoever follows, because I know Johnny thinks the same way, is that you continue to to select a president that continues to think of the membership first instead of themselves, first and foremost. Again, if you look at our record, and I mentioned earlier that some of the victories that we had, that's just a little bit of what we've been able to do. To the community, thank you so very much. I've always stated that this community, this city loves its police officers. Unfortunately, this job, bad things happen, right? They call police for a reason, and we're the last resort when bad things happen. With that, 80%, if not more, of your officers live here in the city of San Antonio or are born and raised here. They want to see this city succeed and stay safe. So understand it's about you as a community. It's about us as members taking care of each other to make sure that the city moves forward. With that, I would like to say, again, a huge thank you to our PR firm that saw me grow up, and from doing interviews at the very beginning to where we're at now, to the business organizations and the business community. Thank you so very much for giving us an opportunity to show you that we're not the greedy bastards that we've been portrayed out to be in a book. And to council, prior Mayor Nuremberg, and other council members that were there during his term, state representatives, state senators, that gave us an opportunity to show you that our mission it was for the community, and it was not what was portrayed to be out in the past. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to show you that things can change. To the chief and his administration, also thank you for giving us the opportunity to show you that we can work together. And contrary to what people say, did the chief and I butt heads? Absolutely. Did we agree to disagree on a lot of things? Absolutely. Did we make things better for the department, have things changed and better for the membership? Absolutely. The major thing is that you have to have a dialogue with individuals to be able to get those things accomplished. If you don't, and you just bash each other in the media, who would want to talk to you? And the ones that suffer are the members and the citizens of this community. So again, thank you to everyone for giving me an opportunity to show you that our organization is a top-notch. It's number one in the United States. And it will continue to go on that route.
Well, thank you, Danny. Appreciate that very much. I'm glad you joined us. It is, like I said, it's bittersweet. Been a mentor to me, like a big brother, all these years. And it's, hate to see you go. I know you're always a phone call away. And that'll be something that I look forward to being able to connect with you even after you're, retired and away from SAPOA. And I appreciate that. That's going to conclude our show for today. Again, I want to thank Danny very much. Thank you guys for joining us. A couple of shout outs I want to give. Probably a little unconventional, but it's for Val Lopez and Hector Ayala and those guys, Lupe Diaz, his Danny's dad, and then even my uncle, Ruben Franco. He was a deputy sheriff, but all those guys are those older guys that kind of blazed the trails for us. Did things that needed to get done for us, and people that we look up to. And so I just want to thank them, everybody that was with them at that time. And again, thank you guys for coming out. So coming out and watching us, joining us. Thank you again, Danny, for being here. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys subscribe. Please subscribe. Leave your comments. We appreciate your continued support for SAPOA. I look forward to seeing you in our next sit down for SAPOA. So thank you again for joining us, and share with everybody so that we can show what Danny has done and give him a proper ending to his career. Danny, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.